Today, Stark County Political Report has B.J. Boyajian, candidate for Ward 4 in the city of North Canton. Welcome to the Stark County Political Report Candidate Interview Series.
Thank you, Mr. Olson.
First off, just give North Cantonians a thumbnail sketch of your life in North Canton up to running in office. Would you do that, please?
Of course. I am a 40-year resident, officially, of North Canton City. Parents still live here, born and raised. Other than going away to college, I have settled here, raising my family. Grew up in the game. A lot of people that know me know this. So I was raised with my grandfather being on council from the day I was born, or I should say the election of the year I was born, until 2001, I think, is when he officially stepped out of the public view. So I was brought up at City Hall, running campaigns, just really being involved with the community members and seeing the value and being involved in the citizens of North Canton and the impact that was made. Always vowed to do that myself. It was just a matter of timing. You know, I've talked to a few people this week, and it was really not about who I'm running against or what the causes are at this point. This is just something I always planned on doing, and then the time has come. I went to North Canton City Schools through 8th grade. We are a Catholic family, so I went and proceeded with high school at St. Thomas Aquinas, graduating in '96. Then pursued my undergraduate at Ashland University in business administration and criminal justice. Then I came back and settled. A couple of years later, met my husband, Dustin. Been married now 13 years this month, and we have a 9-year-old son who actually attends Orchard Hill Elementary. So that's my North Canton wrap-up. I mean, I've been here, like I said, and involved my whole life. I work within Jackson Township area, but that's my ties to our community.
So North Canton is your town.
It's my town.
And you want to contribute to the well-being of North Canton going forward, running in the 4th Ward. Now, there was some question when you took out petitions. You took out petitions both for council at large and Ward 4. What was the deciding factor in deciding to run Ward 4?
Honestly, I did pull 2 petitions. I hadn't quite made that decision. My family, we had a sit-down meeting about a week before I pulled to really decide. I just had this gut feeling it was time. We were settled in our new ward. I was brought up in Ward 2. We moved to Ward 4 just shy of 2 years ago. You know, I kind of stepped back from being called the helicopter mom involved in the schools, and my son's getting older, and it was just a really good time for me to proceed with my dream, or pursue my dream, I should say, and contribute back to my community. So when I pulled both petitions, my thought process was I just kind of wanted to get a feel for my community members. And then the more I thought about it, I decided to go Ward 4 because I wanted to start within my ward, really get my feet wet. I'm not looking this to be a one-term gig. I'm hoping that I make enough of an impact that this can become my part-time career. I mean, I love my day job, but I really want to be that invested into our community that I can. You don't always see results within 2 years. There's different projects you work in that are long-term. One being Hoover. I want to be part of the group that gets to see Hoover come to life and make it a new downtown for us. Ward 4 is first. Like, I wanted to conquer my ward. I wanted to get involved with my ward, invested in my ward, and then at that point go larger and eventually run for a large. I just felt to start Ward 4 was a good spot.
So you want to start out at the particular and work up to a different perspective. Although, if you're elected Ward 4 council person, it's still a blend of your ward interest and the city at large, correct?
The city is 100%. Right. There is the group of us that make up our different areas, but we're doing what's best for the entire city. All minds need to go into play with the city's needs, our ward's needs, and vice versa.
And how long have you lived in Ward 4?
2 years, November 7th, I signed my papers.
Okay. And of course you had previous residences in North Canton. What wards were they in?
I was only in Ward 2 my whole life. My mom lived, I was brought up in Ward 2, right behind the good old Hoover Company. My husband and I, once we got married and settled down, I gave him a 1-mile radius from the square of North Canton as to where we would settle, and we bought our first home on Woodside. And we were there, my goodness, we closed on that house in '05 and left 2 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
And in your time in Ward 4, you gotten around to knowing the residents in Ward 4?
I am. I'm really blessed because my son going to Orchard Hill, you know, I have kind of the I call it the new and old generation of North Canton. So I've gotten to know tons of the parents and, their best interest and what they're looking for in a representative. And I also was very lucky because a lot of the families I grew up with are still in that neighborhood. And, we all met up in the middle school. So if you're from North Canton, a lot of people tend to stay. We know that that's a common habit. So the more I've knocked on doors, it's actually been quite funny to see the amount of people that I knew or know or knew my family or know my son. And I felt like I've kind of already made my little niche in that area. And North Canton's such a tight-knit community. So I feel like when you're truly raised and from here, like no matter where you would live within those city limits, I think it's easy to fit right in.
Okay, for years, John Snyder represented Ward 4.
He did.
And he probably knew your grandfather pretty well.
Worked with my grandpa at some point, yes.
And your grandfather was on council for a while.
Very long time.
And then long-term city administrator.
Yeah, when he retired from DBOD, he was appointed city administrator. And I don't quote me on the years. I believe he retired from DBOD in the early 90s. I know I was still in high school. And at that point, he was immediately appointed to the city administrator. So yes, Mr. Revolt, Mr. Snyder, Mr. Grimes, even Mayor Held have all had a encounter. And Jeff Peters, our Ward 2, to some extent have had good encounters and really very great things that have humbled me to say about my grandfather.
What kind of reception have you gotten generally, not only from folks in Ward 4, but folks like Revolt, not to put you on the spot specifically with the names I named, but Revolt and Snyder and Held, veteran city officials. You're fresh on the political scene, even though your pedigree is terrific.
Thank you.
So what kind of reception have you received so far?
So it's been really interesting because, and I would never, say I have their support, but just in conversation, Daryl is a wealth of knowledge, and I grew up with the phone ringing at council meetings on Monday after a council meeting, and it was me answering the phone at Grandpa's and going, let me talk to old John, and it would be Mr. Revolt, and it's kind of neat because he's reached out and kept in touch with me, and it's kind of been a really neat full circle to see how my grandfather got to be there when he started in his world, and just the really kind of full circle it's come that he's there for me, and we're running our own races. We really are, but he's a very smart man, and it's been very nice to be able to have someone that I can call and pick a brain, and he's really let me fly. And I've had, the hands clap and the pats on the back. John and Daryl at one point too was Ward 4, before he went at large and then moved into the mayor and council president, every other seat these great men have filled. So I think it's been really ironic that this is the year I pulled my ballot when these two other gentlemen came out of their retirement from the city per se to come back in and play in the game. So it's been really, if anything, very rewarding for me to be able to surround myself with these people and really feel that they are cheering for me from afar.